Here's some information about the entity A0, also known as Happy Man. Happy Man is likely one of the first entities that you will encounter in the game. Happy Man appears to be a basic, red smiley face and opens its mouth to talk occasionally. Upon opening a door, Happy Man will instantly spawn inside of the previous room. Its main purpose is to distract players from upcoming entities, and can potentially second-handedly get you killed by making a loud whirring noise, while simultaneously blurting out random phrases in a robot-like text-to-speech voice. After approximately 30 seconds, Happy Man will begin to shout and violently explode into blood, no longer interrupting any sounds that may be playing. Here is some information in the entity A1. A1 appears as a distorted face with very large grin covered with static. It has two stretched eyes that curve upwards. Similar in the shape of its crescent, a small line said to be separate to the top row of teeth and a bottom respectively. In-game, A1 emits white glow along with static particles that can be seen on its face. A1 appears in the first batch of rooms. To survive an attack from A1, players must not go near it, as it won't take damage from you, but you need to distract them when not going near it. You can hide, if you have no other choices, gray lockers, blue lockers, and the tables, as it won't damage you inside. Here's some information in the entity A25. A25 is the first rushing entity which you will encounter in the game. He has a green gesticular face, which has eyes being deformed. He has one big eye, and one squished eye. He has a disturbing mouth and green teeth. A25 is very likely to be the first main and major entity players will encounter in-game. Its face portrays an uncanny and distorted green face with a giant grin. Its left eye is sized horizontally, and its right being sized vertically. Upon opening a door, A25 will alert players of its spawn using a subtle beep sound. In rooms past A60, it may be difficult to hear. After its spawn cue is played, it will begin to rush to the latest room, emitting a quiet static sound as it makes its way there. If a player were to be not hiding inside of a locker or table, it would jump scare and kill the victim. After reaching the last door, it will redound, making its way back to the lobby before despawning. Here's some information about the entity A45. A45 takes the appearance of a yellow smiley face, having a large grin with many teeth that go straight up in both ends, with two oval yellow eyes that look like they were drawn with rough pencils. A45 is the sixth entity you may encounter in the game. A45 will spawn with a bang sound effect. After a couple seconds, it will then start rushing to the latest room at about approximately 5 rooms per second. While rushing, it will play a sound that seems a little too wolf-rolling, as well as a distorted Pac-Man sound effect that only plays when it is near the player. During this, A45 will emit an orange light as well as ring particles. Unlike A25, A45 will not redound. Instead, after reaching the door of the latest room, it will despawn and fall through the floor. In overall difficulty, this entity wouldn't be a problem at all, being somewhat easier than the previous entity, A25. Here's some information about the entity A60. A60 is the fourth entity that players will encounter in rooms, though detailed. Interestingly, A60 is not one of the more highly detailed monsters in the game. He is friends with Glee. A60 is a unique and challenging monster that is sure to keep players on the lookout. Unlike other monsters in rooms, though detailed, A60 has a somewhat quiet spawn, which means that players will need to be extra vigilant when exploring the current room. Once A60 has spawned, it will rush towards the player with very fast speed, making it difficult to evade, unless the player is in a really far room number. A60 will emit a loud, blood-curdling scream when it gets close to a player, alerting players of its presence upon reaching the current room. After despawning, it will open the door that the current player is on, meaning the player may have to beware of A120, A185, A200, or A250 spawning in. The previous mentioned entities will pop up later in the tape, so be on the lookout. Here's some information about the entity A75. A75 looks like a pink scribble with a big open mouth. It moves like A200, which will be a later mentioned entity, and has many teeth. It also gives off a pink light and shoots a pink energy trail. He is also friends with Glee. When A75 shows up, it will make a loud sound like a banging metal door. Then, it will move very quickly to the room you are. It appears 10 rooms behind you, so it arrives very fast. Once it reaches your room, it will bounce back. It will also bounce towards any player who is not hiding. Here's some information about the entity A105. A105 takes the appearance as 4 distinct faces that are switching every second. However, this face is not a variant of doppelganger, unlike its A60 to do so. The first face comes from the popular creepypasta, Jeff the Killer. The eyes are titled and the mouth is closer. This face is also the original A25's face, just unedited. The second face is called Creepy Face. The mouth is shaped into a hip and smile. It has a wide eye and the nose region is shaped into an up arrow and is gray. In-game, this face is stretched into a square. However, in its jumpscare, it will return to its original size. It is also its face was made by a Pinterest user called Free Clippers, right here. The third face is the face of SCP-087-B, although a bit scary. The mouth has the teeth cropped with blood along the sides. The eyes are white. In-game the face is stretched into a square, aside from its jumpscare. The fourth face is a jack-o'-lantern face. The eyes are cunning and lined in another. It has sinister sharp teeth that are revealing, with a nose-shaped arrow up. However, this face in-game appears to be influenced by green light. This entity can be a bit annoying. The most likely reasons are that it redounds a lot. This entity also seems to be more than how uncommon it looks, as if it just appeared in a door, and when you open the next one, it seems to have appeared again. A105 first spawns outside the map before making its introduction, giving players enough time to hide. A105 works similar to A100 from interminable rooms, with the only main difference that unlike A100, it flashes the screen green and can redound to 4 times. Meanwhile A100 only rebounds once. Just like A100, A105 will start from the beginning, and then make its way to the last open door. Will then look for players in lockers in the current room, and redound a couple of times. It also emits a static sound upon arrival. Here's some information about the entity A120. A120 looks like a scribble cyclops. It has one eye with a scribbled X inside of it, and a mouth with a V shape. In-game, it has a bright yellow glowing ring particles surround it. A120 will make 2 to 5 slow beep sounds before emerging like a portal then entering the room. A120 emerges from the portal in the current room and does nothing for a few seconds. Then, A120 will let out a high-pitched beep noise comparable to A25 spawn sound, which is when it spawns a random entity in the A section. Its glow fades away, and after the beep noise mentioned before, it will despawn under a large cloud of yellow and black static particles, along with a sound similar to its spawn sound. Here's some information about the entity A140. A140 takes the appearance of a slightly pixelated face with big, tall, lime green eyes, and a creepy smile with many teeth, 14 on top and bottom, 26 in total. This entity was extremely fast, the fastest entity ever confirmed, even passing the old A105. It gave you no spawn cue, so you had to listen closely to hear him. He redounded a few times. He also gave you 5 to 15 seconds to react. He could appear around room A185. Unfortunately, L140 is non-existent and has been removed from rooms low detailed. Here's some information about the entity A150. L150 is the 11th entity you will encounter in rooms, low detailed. L150 looks like a teal smile with an open mouth, with big pupils. It also has glitchy and noise effects all around. It will make its presence known to the player by making a subtle bang noise. L150 will have a weird shaky type sound to indicate that it's rushing to the current room. During its journey A150 may spawn clones. L150's clones act just like A150 but they won't spawn other clones. Oh. The clones may appear in another tape. Here is some information. In the entity A185, L185's design is similar to the entity A183 from another popular Runes fan game titled Interminable Runes created by Zard's Army. It is likely that A185 was inspired by A183, considering that they appear at around the same place in both games. The few differences that A185 has apart from A183 are that his eye holes are shaped differently and leaking out a black liquid. He has a more expressed smile, and he has blue instead of orange. Unlike A183, A185 can completely move his mouth in the animation. It's at least 3 frames. However, the design is still similar, and it's possible to make this entity with a 183 image. The funny fact, though, is that some people say that A185 is the unknown brother of A183, since it has a similar design. The difference is that A183 and A185 are from different games with completely different creators. A183 has family members, but A185 isn't included in them, which means they aren't related in any way. To survive A185 you must not hide in blue lockers, as A185 checks blue lockers. It is recommended hide in gray lockers and tables or else you will only meet your fate. Upon opening a door, you must listen carefully for the hiss sounds, as A185 is really loud and can be heard easily. If you hear some weird type of sound approaching after opening a door, hide immediately. You can also avoid him by going back to a previous room and hiding in there, instead of hiding in the current room. In the newest update, A185 just falls outside the map if it doesn't find any blue locker, to avoid soft hooking. This entity might be the hardest entity in the game, if you don't know its mechanic, and might get you killed in later rooms, so it's important to know its mechanic. Here's some information about the entity A200. A200 is a white, smiling scribble face. It is the reason why this entity is originally nicknamed the Happy Scribble. Its mouth and eyes are made with multiple line strokes, giving A200 somewhat of a paper look. This entity has sprites, but easy for some of the sprites to be not seen. You can just see it with one sprite, but uncommonly. A200 is an entity that has been added back into the game. Not much is known about this entity, but due to the fact that it was in the original rooms created by Rocks 5555, it's most likely coming to rooms, low detailed, which it already has. Here's some information about the entity A220. A220 is a unique and challenging monster, like most of the runners. Like the other monsters on rooms, low detailed, this monster is like A120, having a loud spawn sound. Actually, he sets a loud spawn sound first, and then after like 1-2 seconds, he will spawn and rush into current room with fast speed, being approximately 10-11 rooms per second. This entity is hostile, as you can see. Entity type is rusher, and he doesn't break down. This entity's spawn chance was uncommon previously from the current version. In the current version, he is impossible to get. If you see this in the current version of rooms, low detailed in your game, it means there might be an administrator of rooms, low detailed, or one of the helpers of the game. This entity is similar to E200 from Iridium, a rooms fan game made before this game, rooms, low detailed. Unfortunately, A220 is non-existent and has been removed from rooms low detailed. Here is some information in the end of the A225. A225 seems to be a scary face with teeth and small realistic-like eyes. It also looks the old Roblox default face, the same one used in Big Head. To survive A225, players must get in a hiding spot. Gray lockers, blue lockers, tables. A225 can be easily avoided if you pay attention to your screen. It emits an intense screen shake along with a loud sound. Even though A225 can be easily avoided, it's not recommended to rush to the next door and hide immediately in that room, as you might not have enough time to hide. A225 redounds a lot, but will take you a while to get to the last door. You have roughly about 4-6 seconds to hide once A225 is close, but be quick at hiding, even though you hide in a spot in time. When it's 2 rooms away, it will still kill you, unless you're fully in the hiding spot. Here's some information about the entity A240. A240 seems to be an entity similar to G88, which will be in another tape, with a smaller, thinner eye and more eyes, with a shorter mouth. A240 was one of the entities that players will encounter in their journey through rooms, though detailed, being the 14th entity to encounter in the game. Its mechanic basically works like this. It appears behind approximately 5-10 rooms behind a player upon opening the main room, and emits a sound that can be heard far away and basically alerts people, so they hide. Then proceed to clone itself like 5-9 times. The clones are being signed blue and blue, and they don't deal damage to players, because it is bugged. Unfortunately, A240 is non-existent and has been removed from rooms low detailed. Here's some information about the entity A250. A250 appears to be the Jeff the Killer face, but red, having a larger grin with ends that go straight up, along with innocent-looking excited eyes with large pupils. Upon opening the A250 door, there's a chance that A250 spawns in. It can also shut the A250 door. It will spawn in the middle of the room and play a very distorted song that you can hear on this page. It will also play one of the SFX sounds effects in this page. After a few seconds it will spawn clones that are basically the same as him, but darker, and they will go in a straight line to A000, while also laughing and hitting anyone who's on their way. To avoid this from happening, players can use any hiding spot and survive the clones. A250 will disappear after summoning to dash 3 clones, and will play the second SFX found in this page. Here is some information in the end of the A275. A275 appears to be a slightly withered yellow face with a slight smile, its mouth being wide open, showing teeth, and its eyes dripping into its mouth. It has a dark glow in the edges of its face, along with a shift effect, mostly noticeable in the eyes and in the bottom teeth. Its eyes contain large yellow rings that have eyes inside of them. The old iteration of A275 was much simpler in design and greatly resembles its current version, albeit it doesn't have eyes inside of the yellow rings nor a shift effect. Upon opening a door, A275 will spawn and start rushing towards the current room. A275 has a chance to dash down at the door, or redound and continue to spawn, and it repeats, with A275 likely redounding multiple times. If a player is not hiding, A275 will instantly kill them. Here's some information about the entity A300. A300 appears to be a heavily edited version of the SCP-087B face, also known as a 60s third design. It has a widened smile, and it has wider eyes that taper towards the top. Once A300 spawns, he will make a sound that can be loosely described as a loud bang and a gunshot. It will repeat the sound sometimes, then make a sound that sounds like a boom. A300 himself produces a sort of fluctuating droning noise. When he is in the current room, he will also make a heavily distorted static noise. After he reaches the current room, he will thus sound similar to A45 and C45. A300 is faster than A105, A185 and even A275, even though its speed is static and does not increase. He will randomly summon his clones while he's rushing to the main room. They are known as CB300. These clones will check tables in the current room. The maximum amount of clones it summons is usually 4, but occasionally, it can spawn a 5th clone. The clones will rush to A000 after checking their table, and they will kill any person that isn't hiding. This will happen if the main room has tables. If it doesn't, then the clones will just fall through the floor instantly, similar to other checkers, if they do not find a spot to check, with the exception of A185. These clones are moderately fast, though far slower than A300 himself. The clones will fall through the floor after getting to A000. After that, O300 has a moderate chance of spawning, usually when A300 has summoned at least 2 to 3 minions. O300s, as the name suggests, basically a fake out, which won't harm the players that are in the main room, since it only teleports a few rooms.